Hey guys, thank you for listening into this episode. On Today with Tips with T, I have an interview with Miss Amy. Hi, Miss Amy. How are you doing today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm awesome. So let's get started. Tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Well, I can tell you what I do now, and I can tell you what I've done before. Um, Currently, I am a certified health coach. I've been doing this for 7 years. I've helped well over 600 clients, and I support a team of health coaches. And the goal of this is to um, help people get to a healthy weight and then teach them how to keep it there. So it's weight loss that becomes a lifestyle is kind of how I describe it. And my husband and I followed this particular program 7 years ago. That's how I got involved in it. And I just thought it was amazing. Having had a lifetime of struggle with being overweight. I was an overweight teenager and now I'm 60. So that's many decades. So it's an amazing program. So that's what I do now. And then previously, without going into everything, the highlights are when I was 26, I opened up a cake bakery. So that's usually something people are curious about. I just decided I was going to do that, and without any experience, I was I did cake decorating just as like a extreme hobby, and that's about it. So I opened a cake bakery, which I had for 7 years, and I sold it to two of my employees when I had my first child. And then in the meantime, I was a stay-at-home mom for three of my children.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So how was your journey on becoming an entrepreneur? Transitioning from the bakery to being a health coach. How was that journey for you?
Yeah, so my first real job before the bakery was I was working in advertising in Boston. And I had sort of entered in. It's hard to envision it today because we have computers, but this was 1981. And I had entered in as a secretary. Even with a great college education, they didn't care. Women were secretaries, honestly. So I sort of worked my way up for 4 years to this level that I wanted to be. And in the meantime, sort of had the idea of opening this bakery. So there I transitioned from an employee to an entrepreneur. And that was really challenging, very, very challenging, because I had never had any experience in a bakery. So I had to learn everything. It was totally seat of your pants, had to find the space, had to build it out, had to talk to the health department. I mean, all these things I didn't even know. And I was the only one doing it. So all my friends were working for other people. So that was probably one of the biggest challenges of my entire life was that. Um, but I loved it and I was very driven. I was 26. I had the drive
Mm-hmm.
and I just kept going, one foot in front of the other, day after day after day. And we did amazing things and built an amazing reputation. So that was that piece of it. Very challenging. And then raising children, of course, you're not really an entrepreneur, but boy, it's hard. And being the health coach, I really learned it also with no experience. I just had great experience in the program I was doing. And
Mm-hmm.
I really believed in it and I saw the great results. So I was like, I got to help other people with this. Other people probably would love this. So I learned how to be a health coach. So I think being an entrepreneur can be very lonely. I think, even if you know other entrepreneurs, you're the only one in your business.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be lonely, I think. It can be stressful. It can be challenging. And what I try to share with the coaches that I support, and this probably goes for any business, is the two keys are being consistent and being persistent.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to keep going, 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 going. And so that's being persistent and you have to be consistent. You can't put all this effort in January and then slack off in February and expect things to do well.
Right. And also, I also encourage people like whenever they want to be an entrepreneur, I'm like, make sure this is something that you're going to be loving to do the rest of your life. You have to love it. You have to have a passion for it. If you don't, then yeah, you're going to fall off with it. So make sure this is very something that you're passionate about, that you love to do. I
Yeah.
mean, and you love providing your product and your service to others. Make sure you actually love and do that first, because yeah, then that the persistence and the consistency will come. But if you're not really passionate about it, then yeah, it will be definitely hard, harder.
Right. And you're probably not going to fall more in love with it. as time goes by, right? You're going to fall less in love with it. So,
Right. So, how can we as entrepreneurs maintain healthy habits?
yeah.
Um, Especially during now it's the flu season, virus season. How can we stay healthy?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I feel like um, it's kind of a sort of a two-part answer. Your first part is, how can we be healthy? And then how can we stay healthy against, let's say, disease? But I think that entrepreneurs are so focused on their business that they forget to take care of themselves. And so it's really important, young or old, it doesn't really matter. It's really important to maintain your own daily health. And so to me, that is managing what you eat and trying to eat in a healthy way, again, consistently. It's don't be healthy Monday and then, eat junk Tuesday. And I'm not saying that you have to be, deprive yourself of everything, but just say to yourself, would you drive your car with no gas in it? Or would you put the wrong gas? Would you put diesel in your car and expect it to get you where you want to go? So the body works the same way. So we are on our program, and just in general, I'm a fan of fueling the body very regularly throughout the day. 5 or 6 times a day, and making sure that each thing that you eat has some protein in it. So let's say it's 10:30 in the morning. You're like, oh, I'm going to have a snack. Don't just grab an apple, because as healthy as an apple is, that makes your blood sugar go up, and then it's going to tank back down and you're not going to feel great. So add peanut butter to it, or a cheese stick, try to incorporate hard-boiled egg, some kind of protein with it, and fuel your body throughout the day so that you don't have those inequalities of blood sugar. And that's important. Also, water is hugely important. I do a talk called Healthy Habits for Busy People, and entrepreneurs are busy, right? So one of the things I tell them is that your body cannot store water. And if you don't give it enough water, it's reusing, the water. So you really, really need to drink probably 8 cups of water a day. And that's not easy to do if you put a glass of water out on your desk and you're sipping it. Oh, a few sips here and a few sips there. You really need to be on purpose about it. Like I keep a glass of water on my table where I'm working, and when I'm drinking the water, I'm not having a sip of it. I'm like sitting there for a while, drinking like half of it down, because otherwise the whole day goes by and you've basically sipped 1 glass of water,
Right.
So I think that's important. I think, movement and activity are very important, and it doesn't have to be killing it at the gym either. Go out and walk around your house for 5 minutes. When you get to the store and you're going to do errands, walk around the parking lot for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Studies have shown that walking 30 minutes a day have dramatic health benefits, more than you would ever imagine. So 30 minutes isn't that bad if you piecemeal it. In my business, I do a lot of calls. I'm supporting people by phone. It's a good thing there's no videos here in my house, but I'm walking around my house all day long. I walk when I talk to people on the phone. I mean, I personally find it easier, but that's another thing you can do. You don't have to sit and talk to people.
Right.
So those are kind of the keys. It's what you're eating, it's water, it's movement. Those are sort of the keys. And then, of course, sleep, is important. And that's probably another place where entrepreneurs fall off.
Yes.
But you really do need 7 to 8 hours of sleep a day. And it's of critical importance for your immune system, which comes into the second part. And also your mental clarity, motivation, all those things. So, and I could tell you a whole lot of different things about sleep, but sleep is important. And then trying to maintain your stress level.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, especially for entrepreneurs. So I always have some suggestions about that. But those are the keys, whether you're, like I said, whether you're young or you're older, it really doesn't matter. Those are the things that are really important to keep your own engine running.
Right.
And then I can answer the second part if you'd like, which is, how do we keep ourselves healthy in the face of viruses and disease in this crazy coronavirus time that we're facing? So, I mean, I'm not a medical expert by any means. So I have to say that. But all of the suggestions that people make about hand washing, you
Mm-hmm.
can't minimize that.
Yes.
That's huge, hand washing. And I think keeping your own surfaces in your house clean. And I think being cautious, like it's, it's that sort of the golden rule, treat people the way you want to be treated. So if you're sick, don't leave your house. You know what I mean? Don't go out if you're sick, and that sort of thing. We expect that of other people. But I think it all comes down to keeping up your own immune system,
Mm-hmm.
which goes back to the first part. It's really paying attention to what you're doing with your body every day.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to get myself on a schedule so I can incorporate all those things. Because even though we're entrepreneurs, I feel like we still need to have some type of schedule,
Yes,
a daily regimen. So now it's like I try to eat healthy breakfasts in the mornings and take my vitamins because I know I don't get all the nutrition that I need from other foods.
right.
So I make sure I take a multivitamin or any, vitamin D because I don't get out a lot. If I work a lot in the house, you might not get a lot of sunlight. So just those supplements to help make up for what I don't get. And then actually learning how to put myself on a schedule. Okay, I'm gonna work, on my business from 9 to 5. And then my bedtime is gonna be no later than 10 o'clock, so I can get at least a decent amount of sleep. All those things really do play a role in our lives. And even like I talked to one of my mentors, and she was telling me because like when I go to sleep, I was just like, I'm starting to dream about stuff that I was like watching on TV or whatever. She was like, you need to have an hour before you go to bed with nothing, no TV, no nothing, so your body can wind down. And I had to start doing that. And normally that didn't bother me, but I guess the older I'm getting, if I don't, it will bother me and interfere with my sleeping habits. So I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, every now and again you have to switch things up a bit and get on a schedule that can work best for you and your body and your health.
Well, I love that. And I think the structure is huge. Even in our program where people are trying to lose weight, it's all about the structure. Because without that underlying structure, you have no sort of rules to follow. You don't know what to do. And when you're uncertain, you're probably not going to do the best thing. So I love that you're setting yourself up that way. And you have a pattern. And, I would suggest at noon when you're taking your break to eat your lunch that you go walk around for 10 minutes or 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You can listen to a podcast or some personal development. If you want to really feel like you're moving forward and you can't really take like a break, there's a lot you can do while you're walking.
Mm-hmm.
Call a client. I do that all the time. So, but I think the structure is huge. And I think, I love that what your mentor said. So we really believe that you need an hour before you go to bed without any blue light. And so that's your iPad, your laptop, and your phone,
Mm-hmm.
TV too. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it really quiets the brain. And that's a wonderful thing. And the other thing that can help, as you said, if something's sort of on your mind is, it sounds a little old fashioned, but if you keep pen and paper near your bed on your nightstand, and if something's really bothering you, you jot it down.
Right.
You're not going to solve it, but somehow moving it from, in here onto the paper can make a big difference.
Yes. Yeah, I was told that too, just to get it, because like they say, if you write it down, it's like a way of you getting it out of yourself and getting on to another surface that's
Right.
not in you. So yeah, I was told to do that too as well.
It's these things are all habits, and I think getting into these habits is a little tricky. It takes about 66 days for a habit to become a habit, an action to become a habit. And so you can't expect overnight that this is going to work, right? I mean, you've got your little routine that you set up for yourself. You're not going to always be able to follow it. So it does take time on the front end, but once you set it up that way,
Uh-huh.
right? You have a favorite book. Now you're reading your book before you go to bed.
Right.
That's just what you're doing. That's your habit. Or you're taking a walk at lunch, or you're making sure you eat a good breakfast. So I think that realizing that the actions need to lead to habits I think could be very helpful.
Right. So, what are you also talk about? Well, you also empower others to take control of their bodies. So, can you tell us more about that? How you empower others to take actual control over their bodies?
Yeah, so I think that again, a lot of what I know I've been trained to do, but I also like to go from my own personal experience because I think, we know what we know. So having been overweight as a teenager, which I was into my early 20s, and then struggling through, decades of struggle with food and exercise and all these things. I have 3 children, I'm married, I think that what I've learned over time is, we have more control over our bodies than we think we do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because a lot of times people sort of blame genetics,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or, oh, well, my family's big boned, whatever it might be. I think that in general in life, in all things, we have more control than we give ourselves credit for. Women in particular.
Right.
They sort of let things happen to them instead of by them. So as far as the health part of that goes, I think that it is really important for people to understand that they are in control. So let's put it this way. In this talk I do, I'll say to people, so I'm saying this to your listeners, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many of you out there are the primary person that brings the food into your home from the supermarket, right?
Right.
Probably most of them, probably most of you out there listening are the ones that bring the food into your home, right? Most of you. So now you're in control. You're in the car, you drive to the store you choose, you go in the store, you put the food in the cart, you put it on the belt, you pay for it, and you bring it home. So what are you bringing home? People forget that they're in control of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, you're living with other people, yes, that's true. You have their wants and needs, but your home should be like a safe place, is what I call it,
Mm-hmm.
for food, and it should have more healthy foods than unhealthy foods, right? And so I try to empower people to open their refrigerator and see what's in there and what can they discard or give away. And I'm not saying people should throw food away by any means, but what are you doing? Like, what do you have in there? And who is it helping and who is it triggering or harming?
Mm-hmm.
So I've really cut back on a lot of things that I bring into my house that I feel are triggers for me. And even when I was raising my kid, I mean, I've raised 3 kids, a lot of people say, well, my kids want this. You're still in control of your kids, if you have young children, right?
Right.
So I tried very hard not to have like cake and candy and cookies in my house and soda. I never bought that stuff unless we were hosting a party, right? Because I felt like the kids get it out there. They get it out in the world. They're not missing anything.
Right.
So that's, I guess, a huge focus of mine, is that people are really in control of the food they bring in their home. Right? I mean, true.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the other things, I mean, we determine how we're going to spend our time every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do. So I agree that there are a lot of have-tos. I acknowledge people need to earn money, right? People need to work. I acknowledge that, but a lot of times people find themselves in an incredibly stressful job situation. I hear this all the time. I was so stressed out. I was so stressed out in my job. Well, you do have to work, so you can't not work, but is there something else you could do?
Mm-hmm.
Can you find something that earns the same money that's less stressful?
Right.
Right? And a lot of people don't take control of that. What do you think? Is that true?
It's very true, because stress is a killer. It's a silent killer, and most of us don't realize that. So, I tell people, find something that you enjoy doing that's less stressful, because if something happened to you on that job, guess what? They're gonna post your job and fill that position once you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to find something that's fulfilling to you, that's gonna allow you to have balance. That's gonna allow you to, have that balance in your life, so you can eat healthy. Maintain, and then you want to be here to enjoy the pleasures of life. You can't enjoy it if you're stressed out, and that cause other health issues. You can't really enjoy it. So that's really a major thing. Really, it is a major thing.
Right. And I know that you're focused on entrepreneurs. So I like to think that the entrepreneurs are doing that. I like to think that the entrepreneurs have found something that they want to do, that they're passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
at their own control, right? Which is what you said. And I do believe that, probably more so than just people who are employees. But what are you doing with the rest of your day?
Right.
Are you working till midnight? What are you doing? Are you allowing for balance? And again, balance is maybe the wrong word. Are you allowing for a little bit of everything?
Right.
When your kid says, "Mommy, read me a book," are you reading the book?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if a friend says, let's meet for lunch, but you're in the middle of some big project, are you going for lunch? You need to go for lunch,
Right.
you know, because the business will always be there. And however quickly or slowly the path is the path, you know? And so I do like to empower people. And again, it's not just women, but I think women tend to put themselves last. They
Mm-hmm.
take care of everybody else,
Yes.
you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just try to empower them that, you know, the day is at their creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, stuff happens, right? We're in the midst of like a stuff happens life, right? World right now. But, you know, take control over what you can take control over it. If you have a book, read a book. You know, I personally, I work from home all day long. I'm very diligent. I do a lot. And at lunch, I'll admit it, I take an hour and I watch TV. I make a healthy lunch and I watch TV. And that is my break from coaching and supporting and providing and giving and giving and giving. And I'm like, I'm watching TV.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I recently had to start doing that because I would eat and then like don't even give myself an hour. So I said, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fix me lunch and then I'm gonna watch a movie to help me so I can take a break. Because if I don't, I'll be right back at it again and I won't really take a break from it all so I can come back. So I recently had to take that tip for myself too.
Well, I'm proud of you because I think it's important, you know, and there's no award for you know, being a martyr about things, you know, right? And then people say, how's it going? And you just say, oh my God, it's so hard, it's so horrible, I'm working all day long, 15 hours a day, blah blah. Guess what? It's at your hand. I know, I understand the money piece, and so I don't want to minimize that people have to earn money, but on the other hand, you do have to keep yourself going.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put fuel in the tank, and you have to enrich your relation. You know what I mean? What is it all about if you don't have any relationships and friendships and all that?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, also I try to encourage people to plan things for the future, right? So if you're in the middle of a season of growth and work, right, maybe there's a time in people's business when they are like pedal to the metal, you know, it's their busy season or whatever it might be. I get that. I had that in my bakery. We had a huge, you know, wedding season. It was like, forget it. You know, I couldn't do anything about that. But what about planning for a vacation when it wasn't so busy and
Right.
spending a little bit of time, like sitting down with my husband and being like, where are we going to go? You know, what can we do? Like, let's get the flights booked or whatever. So I think that can be a very healthy habit, is to plan for the future while you're in a crazy time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Miss Amy, for coming on the show today and giving us all your healthy tips. I very appreciate you. Tell us how we can get in contact with you if we want to render your services. I'm gonna share the screen.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it's an email and a phone number. Just, you know, I love to share our weight loss program. I mean, we see women losing 10 pounds a month and feeling great about it and learning how to keep that weight off. So I'm happy to do that. And I also speak, and I'm a podcast guest, as you can tell. So, yeah, so the phone number is 781-910-4962. And my email is ragoob@comcast.net. You can see it yourselves if you're watching, but if you're listening, my Instagram is amygoober.shapeyourlife. And my Facebook is also Amy Goober, Shape Your Life.
Awesome. And you guys, if you want to get in contact with me, you can do so by calling me. My number is 910-317-0396. You can send me an email at contact@mjfinancial.biz. You can schedule a consultation on my website at www.mjfinancial.biz. And you can also find this episode on Anchor, you guys. Also, be sure to check out, I do have a YouTube channel, so you can find the video on YouTube as well if you would like. But thank you so much, Miss Amy, for coming on today. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome. It was fun.
It was. All right, you guys, we will see you on the next episode.